いよいよ2025年のメジャーリーグが幕を開ける。大谷翔平が所属するロサンゼルス、ドジャースは、本日デトロイト、タイガースとのシーズン初戦に臨む。開幕を前に MLB ネットワークでは今季の優勝予想を行い、専門家らが激しい議論を展開した。特に、アメリカンリーグ、AL は、12チームが6枠を争う史上稀に見る混戦と指摘され、レッドソックスやアストロズなど強豪チームの名前が次々挙げられた。一方、ナショナルリーグ NL では、大谷を擁するドジャース、フィリーズ、ブレーブスが注目された。しかし興味深いことに、複数の専門家がワールドシリーズの優勝候補として挙げたのは、ドジャースではなくフィリーズだった。強力な戦力を誇るドジャースだが、今季はフィリーズが世界一になるだろうと意外な予想が飛び出したのだ。果たして大谷翔平とドジャースはこの下馬評を覆し悲願の世界一へと突き進めるのか。専門家たちの詳しい討論はこの後日本語字幕付きでお楽しみください。
Our insider Joel Sherman is back. Giro, myself, and Lauren, who will be back on Monday after her March Madness duties are over. All three of us filled out a bracket. I feel terrible about mine.
It was hard.
It was very difficult.
On the American League, it's, I think, way more difficult.
Joel, it's very wide open in the American League.
Well, I think you could make a case that 5 different teams in the AL East could win, 4 different teams in the AL Central could win, and 3 different teams in the AL West could win. Well, that's 12 for 6 spots.
Yes.
So, like, good teams are going to be looking... When they say a game in April counts, well, you better start accumulating.
Because I think,
you know, Arizona gets to 89 wins last year, which was 5 more than when they won got to the World Series and lost the 3-way tiebreaker.
Wow.
Win your games.
No, that's a great point. So, Dero, let's get you to your bracket and just talk us through what you were thinking.
All right, they held me down and forced me to do this, so I had to. You want to start in the American League? I'm going to start wild card. Baltimore Orioles and New York Yankees will find a way to get into the postseason. I think the Houston Astros, congratulations. I think they win the West again, and Texas is a wild card team. Kansas City has the second best record next to the Boston Red Sox in the American League. All the way down to the ALCS. Get ready, Robert. The Boston Red Sox versus the Houston Astros.
Oh, no.
And the Boston Red Sox are your representative from the American League.
Man,
on the flip side, National League's a bear. The
Yes.
Diamondbacks are real. The Mets are going to be good. The Braves are going to be good. And I'm going to stay loyal to the Cubbies, although the Milwaukee Brewers are breathing down my neck right now to put them in the postseason. I end up and arrive with Dodgers, Phillies, and the depth of the Dodgers for me, I do think you could see them rattle off 3 out of the next 4 or 5 World Series, and Dave Roberts is being talked about as like arguably one of the greatest managers to ever do it.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and we have some of the same teams just in different order. I have the Astros getting in as a wild card. I have the Texas Rangers winning the division. As I said, I struggled with this. And look at the teams that are not here. I don't have the Yankees, I don't have the Orioles, I don't have the Guardians, and I feel awful about it.
I think people are overlooking the Orioles. I get it. Their rotation leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Watching Corbin Burns walk out.
I
think offensively they're going to score runs.
Winning the East. I have the Phillies getting in as a wild card. And similar to what they did in 2022.
We're all on Boston.
Go all the way to the World Series, but this time beat the Boston Red Sox. I have them beating the Dodgers in the NLCS. Now, before you guys throw a hissy fit, 2 things. Hashtag, you don't know ball. And 2, this is morning show stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing it for content.
You know, one of the things I say every year, like I don't love predictions because even when you're right, are you right? Like if we were picked the Dodgers on this day last year, we would have said they'll win because look at the depth of their starting pitching.
Yeah.
And their starting pitching almost killed them. In the end, they were doing bullpen games. It's hard to know.
Baseball is the most difficult.
Twists and turns that are going to go on over the next 6-7 months are going to take us to places we can't predict. July 31st, what's going to happen? Who's going to add? Who's not?
Who's going to get if Sandy Alcantara is added? That immediately, potentially has a chance to change things.
I mean, if Pittsburgh wants to put some offense in the lineup, they might find themselves
in a postseason Could
game.
Be.
And who wants, in a best of 5, imagine Skeens going 1-5 and trying to win that series if you're the other team.
Lauren, despite her absence, she was able to submit her own bracket, and I believe her World Series matchup for Phillies-Yankees That has been her same matchup for 5 years running.
But can we get that? Because then I just could drive to every ballpark.
That is
for the
also
World
right.
Series.
San Diego sneaking in there.
But you know what? I don't have a problem with
And
that.
Toronto.
And I don't have a problem with the Blue Jays because...
And Detroit.
Yeah.
The American League's wide open.
The New York Mets. Wait, does she not have the Mets?
She doesn't have
She
them.
doesn't have
She
the
does
Mets.
not have the New York Mets. Okay. All right.
How dare you? And
so
you can
again,
only pick the Phillies so many times.
Look, if your team was not represented in any of our brackets, I understand your frustration. I understand your scorn. Just know, look.
At Real Roflo.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Hey, Joe, real quick. We're here under kind of unusual circumstances in that one former Yankee is dealing with an unimaginable tragedy, and that is the loss of Brett Gardner's son recently. What did he mean, Brett Gardner, the player, the man, to this franchise?
So, you know, I've been saying something since I heard this over the weekend that I'll repeat here, which is, you know, I've said, hey, if you're a dad, can you imagine? And I'm like, you don't have to be a dad, right? Like anybody, like you could imagine what you losing your 14-year-old son is. And I said, if you knew Brett Gardner, and to know Brett Gardner was to admire him, I don't know that I covered a player who got more out of their skill. I thought he was going to be an up-and-down fourth outfielder. He turned into a vital player for his entire career. How many just very good players spend their whole career with the Yankees? Usually you have to be great. If you went in that clubhouse now and asked, like, Aaron Judge is the leader of the team, who he learned the most from, I bet you to a man, everyone would say Brett Gardner, including Aaron Judge. That's why it's still meaningful. That's why this organization is hurting.
Yeah.
That's who Brett was. And yet, I knew and liked Brett. I'm a dad. I don't think you have to be either to feel this. A 14-year-old died tragically, obviously too soon. There'll be a moment of silence for Miller Gardner today, and I know that Gardner's meaning to this organization, he is not here, but he has not faded, and if nothing else, it is through Aaron Judge's leadership of the team.
Well, I apologize that we had to make that somewhat awkward transition talking about this when we were talking about predictions.
Needed to be addressed.
Since you were here and you covered Brett, we just wanted to acknowledge.
I covered Brett's entire career. Just an amazing guy to deal with and a terrific player.
Yeah, well, our hearts and all of our love is being sent to Brett Gardner and his family as they deal with an unimaginable tragedy. Once again, we're here in the Bronx for MLB Central. We will have much more of the show after this. Stay with us. Back, MLB Central on the road at the Bronx. Let's do a little worried or whatever. Mark DeRosa, Robert Flores here with you. Once again, Lauren will be back with us in studio on Monday after she's done with her March Madness duties. Our first topic, worried or whatever, the Dodgers will not live up to expectations.
Whatever.
Huge whatever for me.
This is the biggest whatever. Anybody who woke up and watched those games in Tokyo, no Mookie, no Freddie, no problem. The depth of their pitching is just too much.
Yeah.
I mean that. They're going to stick Blake Snell on the mound. At any point, they can go Yamamoto, Glass now. Don't sleep on Kershaw. Is going to make 10 starts down the stretch for them. They're bullpen for days. So, yeah, Andrew Friedman and the boys out in L.A. have figured it out.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Showdown time. Tom Verducci is here. I was thinking, you can't get sick on opening day, but I guess you can get sick on opening day.
So bad for him. Of all days.
That's not the day to get sick. Anyway, all right. Hey, I do not have your answer on this, so our producers just thought, how about this? Top 3 players in Major League Baseball, because I think I'm going in another direction. Give me your top 3.
Okay. This is one of the more easier assignments you've given me.
Yeah?
Number 1 is Shohei Ohtani. He's the best player of all time. He's going to make 15 or 20 starts this year, and he's going to hit 40-plus home runs.
Best player of all time?
Yes, his package of skills is unprecedented. Okay,
that's true.
Number
not
2,
the best player of all time.
Number 2 is Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
He dominates a game. Even when he's not in the batter's box, you are counting the spots to when he's coming up. He makes everybody else around him better.
Best hitter in the game. Yes.
Number 3, Bobby Witt Jr. All the skills you could ever want, playing shortstop position, puts the ball in play, runs the bases great, a terrific throwing arm. He reminds me of Mike Trout in his prime, where you look on the baseball field and you say, who is that guy? He does things nobody else does.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's my easy 3.
I can see a future. I can see a future like happening this year where actual value on the field is Witt, your number 3 guy, number 1, Gunnar Henderson 2, Ellie De La Cruz 3. 3 monster shortstops. If De La Cruz takes that next step and Gunnar gets healthy and he's just regular Gunnar again and Bobby Witt just stays where he was, I'm thinking Ohtani is still not pitching. He maybe pitches later in the year. He's a DH, right? He's a great player. Judge is now a diminished defensive player. He's not in center field. We'll see if he can still dominate in right field. I would take those 3 shortstops, even over Ohtani with his historic nature, and Aaron Judge. Those 3 shortstops.
Yeah, I heard a couple of ifs in there, Brian. I'm looking at Ellie De La Cruz thinking, sure, he's got the potential to be now. I don't know if he's in my top 10 right now. This guy struck out 213 times last year.
Yeah.
He does not hit a breaking ball. He does not hit from the right side of the plate. Now, he will. He's young.
Yeah.
He's 23. We're seeing all the skills and the packages there to be Bobby Witt. But he's not by. His OPS plus in his career is 106.
Okay.
He's barely above average.
But it was well above average last year. Did you see him this spring? He's gone next level.
He did cut down on his strikeouts, and I said that if he does that, his numbers are going to get there.
This is, I know it's spring training. I hesitate in front of Tom Verducci to throw the spring training stats and go, no, you're showing me spring training
That's
stats.
okay.
Look at it. He's gone. This is a guy. This is why it's significant. He's gone next level. Also, now I was there in camp with him. I got to see him there. I was there with D-Row. He's working on his defensive game. We know he's smooth. We know he's StatCast ready. He's toolsy more than anyone else in the game. Is there an if? Yes, but I think he goes next level. And in that case, Tom, think of these running, fielding, slugging shortstops. There's nothing more valuable than that. I would take those 3 easy if Ellie becomes Ellie, that I think. I would take it easy even over an Ohtani DH who might pitch and Judge at this point in his career.
I like what you're saying here. The concept, the philosophy there is like Earl Weaver said, give me a team of all shortstops, right? Because those are the best athletes on the field. They're going to handle the ball the most defensively. And these guys are all big, too. You're talking about Gunnar and Ellie.
Yeah.
These guys are 6'3", 220, run like the wind.
Yes.
So these are premier athletes playing baseball.
I know you've long been a proponent of the golden at bat. You've written about that a lot. It got a lot of traction this offseason. They're not considering it now, but it was out there. I'm not down with it. Sell me on this. It just seems like some cheap gimmick. You're throwing it to the masses. Oh, we enjoy this. It's not real baseball. Sell me on it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to try really hard because I brought this idea up like really 10 years ago when attendance was starting to go down. Offense was terrible back then, right? Pace of the game was terrible. The game needed something. It needed a jolt of offense. And I thought having the best players deciding a game late, like, Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball in his hand the other game. LeBron James is going to have the basketball in his hands. Let's do the same with baseball. I wanted to see this so long ago. Bryce Harper hit against Aroldis Chapman at the end of the game. He had very few at-bats against them. I think where the game is now, we're in such a good place. And George did a great job with you, George Will, talking about this, the way baseball addressed the problem of pace of play and the ball in play.
Yep.
I wouldn't mess with it right now, Brian. I think it's worthy of a discussion. But I think now is not the time to put your thumb on the scale and change the game that drastically.
Yeah, doesn't it seem, I mean, again, you're a longtime fan of the game. Doesn't it feel wrong? Doesn't it feel like you're throwing something to the new generation? We want something now, right? And it's like, no, that's not how baseball works. Like, I know you've got to be popular, but it just seems like that tinkers with the basic origins of the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to split hairs here, so did the 3-batter minimum, right? You kind of handcuff managers and what they can do in terms of strategy.
Much different than we're changing the lineup and this guy can bat whenever he wants.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not saying we're there right now. Again, I think the game's in a great place. We had a great year last year. The pitch clock, to me, it's the greatest invention in baseball since Harry M. Stevens invented a hot dog at the ballpark. It really is. So
no question.
I wouldn't touch it. I really wouldn't.
Okay.
I like the ABS.
All right.
And we're going to see it next year, the way it's done. I would not give teams more than 2 challenges. I didn't even think about 1. Because the minute you start to get to 4 or 5, because remember, they're winning half of them. So if you get 2, you're going to see 4.
That was my point, was that, 52% of challenges they're winning, 48% they're losing, which means stop griping, right?
Umpires are doing a pretty good job.
They're doing a pretty decent job. That's enough. All right, we don't even get to topic number 3. We're out. We went too long.
いよいよメジャーリーグ新シーズンが開幕を告げる中、全米の野球ファン、いや、世界中のスポーツファンの視線がロサンゼルス、ドジャースのスーパースター、大谷翔平に注がれている。ドジャースは日本での東京シリーズを終え、堂々たる凱旋を果たしたばかり。その勢いを保ち、ホームグラウンドでも勝利を収め、シーズン本番に向けて盤石の構えを見せている。しかし今、チームには思わぬ不安要素が浮上していた。主力中の主力、ムーキー、ベッツが体調不良を訴え、開幕直前に欠場を余儀なくされたのだ。彼は原因不明の胃の不調に悩まされ、食事もまともに取れないほどの深刻な状態が続いている。食べると吐いてしまう。 体重も急激に減少し、不安は尽きない、医師も首をかしげる奇妙な症状の中、ベッツ自身も、ただ試合に出たい、と嘆き、彼の苦悩は計り知れないものとなっている。この重大な危機を前に、ドジャースの未来を案じる声が高まっているのも当然であろう。だが、まさにこうした状況こそ、大谷翔平という絶対的な英雄がその真価を発揮する時なのである。彼がユニフォームに袖を通し、バットを握ったその瞬間、球場の空気は一変する。ファンは息を飲み、歓声は地響きのようにスタジアムを震わせる。その一挙手一投足が、まるで神話の再現であるかのような迫力を帯びる。大谷翔平が存在するだけで、チームは不思議なほどの安心感を得て、ファンは熱狂の渦に飲み込まれるのだ。専門家も、大谷さえいれば問題ない、と太鼓判を押し、ドジャースの投手陣は深すぎるほど充実している、と分析を重ねる。山本由伸、クレイトン、カーショーなど、球界を代表する名投手たちが控えているのだが、その中でも群を抜く存在が、大谷翔平に他ならない。誰もが認めるその圧倒的な実力、マウンドでの威圧感、打席での破壊力、まさに人間離れしたその姿は、生ける伝説、と呼ばれるにふさわしい。ドジャースが苦境を乗り越え、新たな歴史を刻むためには、大谷の活躍が不可欠である。彼が躍動する瞬間を目撃するたび、我々は野球の持つ無限の可能性と、ヒーローが生まれる奇跡を改めて実感するだろう。ファンの皆様、ぜひとも今後のドジャースの試合を見逃さず、大谷翔平という男が野球の歴史を塗り替える瞬間に立ち会ってほしい。目をそらすことなく、その伝説の続きを共に追いかけようではないか。